Started riding probably when I was probably 3 years old. My neighbor was an ex-professional downhill racer and got me riding. When I turned, I think it was like 8 or 10 years old, I entered my first downhill race. Kind of came up with a friend group of people who branched out into the industry and ended up in different corners. I show up here, we're open 10 to 5 throughout the day, and basically I'm the only worker. I handle customer service, repair work, sales, like everything kind of in that.
My name's Forrest, and this is what I do.
I love the freedom that it gives you, and number one, like the people that you meet and the skills you develop too. You can just spending enough time kind of immersed like in this world, because I was always immersed in it but never kind of to this level until years ago when I started here. But yeah, if you're immersed in it for a long enough time, you kind of just takes over your entire life essentially. We've got pretty much everything that you need for the bike industry: bikes, parts, we have clothing, select amount of clothing, anything, kids' bikes, hydration mixes, the whole 9 yards. On like a day-to-day basis, all the products that we carry here in the shop, they all have a face to the name at some point. So having those personal relationships with the brands and getting to really connect with the people behind them has been one of the most beneficial things. It's, small scale and easily, manageable, enough for one person to manage. If you don't live near like a brick and mortar shop, the easiest thing is to just order everything online. But if you do that, you're not necessarily getting that, customer service, like one-on-one support. So there's still a lot of folks out there who like to come into the shop. There's so many things that come up that you might not be accounting for if you're building a bike or just getting into cycling and you want to know what exactly you need to start with and stuff like that. I can at least make suggestions. I've taken a couple titles, second in the US Open at one point in my category, and then I've taken a couple other titles, Snow Summit Downhill Series, second at the Sea Otter Classic in Monterey. Being a privateer racer for that long, you kind of develop some, privateer skills, because you don't always have time to go to a bike shop and have help, Privateer being that you're not necessarily with like a factory team where you get that sort of, support and stuff like that on the fly. So a lot of these races, I'd be showing up with maybe a friend or like my family or something like that, and if I break something, out on the track, I got to be able to fix it probably in the parking lot. And sometimes that would happen an hour before the race, and like with the downhill race, you only really get one shot because it's one run. So if you break something in practice, you have to get it fixed. I've been trained by like I said, just other professional athletes in the industry, because at these races, I guess I should say, I would have, going to them since I was so young, I kind of came up with a friend group of people who branched out into the industry and ended up in, different corners here nor there and stuff like that. And there was people who ended up being mechanics, before I got kind of into this side of things, and being in those parking lots and kind of in that scene at a bike park, you kind of hang around a lot of professional type folks that can get you the skills you need for sure. I mean, everything from bike skills to people skills to just, it kind of developing, good relationships with people in the industry has been the most beneficial thing for me. And the skills to be able to talk to people professionally kind of at that level and see where other people are at, kind of at that professional level in the industry. Road cycling is definitely, from one perspective, it's the most popular form of cycling, and I think to a sense that's kind of what's still keeping cycling alive, because not only in the United States, but there's a lot of, road cycling that goes on in Europe as well, and that's probably kind of what's really driving the industry. As far as keeping that industry still going. A lot of the business that local bike shops are doing is mainly going to be road cycling, because you can ride a road 100% of the year, mostly, unless there's, terrible weather. But yeah. The other biggest industry trend, again, ever since probably 5 to 7 years ago. I mean, e-bikes have been around for quite a while now, and everybody knows, what they are and stuff like that. But the biggest industry trend is definitely electric bikes. When you're working solo, there's a lot kind of more of the logistics you have to be thinking of 24/7, and it's definitely tiring. It takes a physical toll, day after day. So sometimes I take on projects that I know are challenging because I like to be challenged necessarily, and sometimes it works out in my favor and everybody's stoked. Sometimes it does come back to bite me. I worked on an old 70s road bike frame for a guy, and it was like fully titanium, like really nice collector's frame, and we were working on pulling the bottom bracket out, and the bottom bracket was completely seized in the bottom, which is basically the spindle through the bottom of the bike that actually drives the rear gears. So that we were going to have replaced because he was going to have the bike painted, and it took me probably 2 days to get that bottom bracket out of there, and then I had to use my thread taps and re-tap the threads for the bottom bracket on the bottom of the frame. And I had to use I had 2 people and a blowtorch, and we were breaking this thing loose. It's not pretty sometimes, definitely. That's one of the most challenging things about this job, is the fact that not every repair goes very smooth, and sometimes you could be spending, a day or 2 on one project, and just having the kind of resilience to get back up, and you just got to keep going. There's multiple different schools you can go to, such as like UBI in Oregon is a really nice program. I was trained by a couple other professional mountain bikers in the industry, and as well as the owners of these shops, a few of them in this county for sure. I spent a lot of time in bike shops and developed a lot of useful skills over the years for sure. If you're considering getting into the bike, I guess like bike mechanic or shop experience kind of work, I guess I'll probably assume that you already have some sort of interest like in being a bike mechanic, so maybe you know a little bit about bike repair, or maybe you don't. And there's still a huge space, even if you're not really fluid in like mechanical ability. There's a big space for sales work too, and customer service, because this industry lives off of having that nice customer service, and if you can do all 3, that's even probably better. But even having that real nice customer service, front door kind of a guy, goes a long way.
My name's Forrest, and this is what I do.